This is TWiT.
Christina really wanted to know what it was like going to Rome with the Meta display Meta Ray. What do they call them? Ray-Ban display glasses.
So they call them the Meta Ray-Ban display, unlike the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, because why are we just messing up the naming convention? I don't know.
This is the one with the little kind of heads-up display in the lower right-hand lens.
Yes,
right?
Yes, there is. And so, it does some things, like it notifies you when you have a text message. You can take photos and video with it and actually frame the shot within the lens, which is really great because
the old Meta Ray-Bans, you didn't know what you were taking a picture of.
No, you didn't know what you're taking a picture of. That's how I learned I tilt my head a lot because all of my photos were Dutch angle, unintentionally so. And, you can text message with it via WhatsApp, like all the Meta apps are on there. You can watch an Instagram reel from your DMs because sure, why not? But I think the interesting features for me were the fact that you can get live captions and translations and see them in real time.
You're in Italy. Perfect.
Yeah, you'd think. Well, we'll get to that part. But and then also you can get walking directions. And I was surprised, but the walking directions actually came in super clutch because crossing the street in Italy is a never-ending game of Frogger. You will die if you're not paying attention to where you're going. And the times where the glasses would run out of battery, I would be like, "Oh no, this is this is
the trouble with depending on technology, that when it doesn't work, now you're really I have that problem with GPS. I can't find my way out of a paper bag anymore because I'm so reliant on GPS.
It's a problem. But we were walking to the Vatican in order to get to the Sistine Chapel, and the directions are really great. There was only one time where we were kind of like turned around.
My wife is so mad at me because I made her walk like a mile in the wrong direction and realized, oh, wait a minute, it's that way. And we had to turn around and she was so mad at me. But as a result, we saw where the Forum, which is kind of not in where Caesar was murdered. You don't expect it. It's like lower below ground, and it's where the cats of Rome live.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I was upset because I didn't get to see that.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I'm a big cat person, so yeah.
Well, I'm a big Caesar fan, so it
works out. It works out. But yeah. And
Rome would be a great place to wear those. I think that was kind of a natural place to wear them.
Yeah, I found that, in my day-to-day life, it was really hard to incorporate the features that are cool because when I'm walking around my neighborhood, I don't really need walking directions because one, if I'm in Hackensack, Jersey, I'm in a car. I'm not going to use these glasses in a car. And if I'm walking around New York, it's a grid system. So
why wouldn't you use them in a car? Do they block your view?
I just don't think you want that kind of distraction. So in the car, like in the car, you can just turn on audio only mode if you do want to use them. But
the audio is really good. I have the old Ray-Bans. The audio is very good on those.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I think that the new ones, when they get smaller, will be something that.
So Victoria,
they are quite big.
Yeah. Christina, you were interested because were you tempted, as I was, to buy the display version?
No, because of the size. Strictly because of the size. They're pretty big, and I have the regular Ray-Bans work fine. But when I got the clear version last year, those were too big on my face, even though they were like the standard size. And so for me, like,
we have opposite problems. My glasses, mine are always too small for my giant moon face.
So the display have hinges that like kind of fold out.
Oh.
So it helps people with wider faces, but
still, the glasses would be narrow on your head, and I don't like.
They're quite large. I don't have them on me now because our video team is filming with them at the moment, but they're quite large on my face. My spouse was just like, he looked at me and he was like, "No, absolutely not."
Do you look
Don't
nerdy?
Love it.
What do you look like?
You can check the review out. There's tons of pictures of me in the review.
Great.
I thought you looked honestly like you looked better than I did. Like what I always remember, I waited in line for 5 hours like an idiot for the original Snapchat spectacles outside of a pop-up in New York City.
That.
It was it's probably one of my favorite blogs that I've ever done. And they looked so huge on my face, and it's amazing like how in like 8 years how poor those were just in terms of like what the capabilities were, how they looked and whatnot. Now, like with the regular, Ray-Ban collection stuff, they look almost identical to regular sunglasses.
Yeah.
And then even these, the display, which are very impressive. Like I said, I was not tempted just because I wouldn't wear them. Like if they're going to look bad on my face, then I'm too vain. I'm sorry. But
the temple pieces are pretty thick. I'm looking at your picture on The Verge thick right now. They're pretty thick.
They are, but you can see where they're going to go. That's the thing that excites me. Like you see that like in a generation or two, these are going to become smaller.
Are they though? I mean, this is a technological challenge to get battery life.
The battery life.
And all that
battery life
is there and all of that.
The battery life is what I'll say is the biggest, weakest point besides the size, is that, when I'm using it in a heavy circumstance, like I went to a car show with my spouse, and again, here I was trying to test the AI. So I'm at a car show and I'm just screaming at every car, "What model car is this?" And moving on, and everyone thinks I'm crazy.
I love this.
But
this is what people would do when the first Bluetooth headsets came out. Everybody thought, why is he talking to himself as he's striding down the street?
So,
no, it's the glasses you're talking to.
I have the wristband. I'm like tapping. And so I look like a crazy person going like, "What car is this?" Just yelling at them.
Could you type? It looked like Mark was typing with his fingers.
So
Can you?
One of the features that'll come out later, and I did get a demo of it, is you'll be able to like put it on a flat surface and like write. Like if you're handwriting, like trace things and type. It was actually pretty good when I tried it out.
It's doing a lot of predictive stuff, right? So you do the first letter or two, and then you say, okay, that's it.
The neural band is actually one of the coolest things about it because it works quite seamlessly. So if you are familiar with the gestures on the Apple Watch or other smartwatches, it's going to be really familiar to you. But it's pretty seamless. Like it is very cool that if you want to like turn the volume up, you just pinch and turn like you're turning a dial.
How was simultaneous translation?
Not that great in Italy, just because it's directional. So it's the same thing with the live captions. And when I was testing it, if you are in a one-on-one setting, even if it's a little noisy out there, if you're in a one-on-one setting, like at a restaurant, and you're talking to someone and you're just looking at them the entire time, it can be quite good. It doesn't do slang well, but that's all AI transcription, I think. But it's quite good at getting the gist across. Now, if you're walking out and about, like you might be as a tourist, and there's a lot of Italians yelling in the vicinity around you, you're going to have a hard time because it doesn't know who necessarily to translate because it's going to prioritize who you're looking at. So if you are just trying to get an announcement translated, well, good luck. Like where is the person you're talking to where the announcement is coming? You'll have to find the speaker and stand under it and look at the speaker. So it's not quite practical in that sense. But so that was that limitation really for translating in Italian, getting that done. And then also they don't have glasses, so they can't understand what you're saying back. So you have to pull out a thing and be like, here you go. And my in-laws are very extroverted Americans, so they would just not even let me try to do that. They would just be like, "Do you speak English?" And then switch to English, and it would be like, "Oh, okay. Well, there's no opportunity there then to try that." But so I found that translation stuff, if you're one-on-one and let's say you're like living abroad for a while and you're trying to make new friends and you're having a one-on-one friend date at a coffee shop like a lot of expats do, I think that could be really useful for you. But if you're a tourist, one, everyone's going to talk to you in English anyway.
Right.
Two, it can be a little clunky because then you have to like bring it out and be like, this is what I'm using it for.
It's also slow, right? It's not in real time exactly.
It's decent, but there's slightly a bit of a lag with any translation tech. And I brought like standalone translator tech things to test out while I was there too. And there was only one instance where I felt like it was a good opportunity to do it. And that was when we were on a train and a Chinese grandma came up to me because I was the only other Asian person on this train. And so she's like, "Ha, do you speak Chinese?" And I was like, "No, I'm American." And so we used her little translator
fun
device there. And that worked out pretty great. But so for translation, very certain circumstances.
It's a very early days in this stuff, though. I mean,
it is.
I think
the walking directions was the absolute best use case of it. If Italian museums would install Wi-Fi, I think it could be a good thing to have the AI identify a piece of artwork for you if an audio guide is broken. Yeah, but I went to the Vatican museums. I went to the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. No Wi-Fi at either of these museums. I was just like, I would love to know about this painting, but alas.
And how was your cellular? I'm just curious how your cellular connection was. I know you didn't have Wi-Fi, but I was just curious. Like, was like 5G or LTE decent enough? Because when I was there wasn't a lot of ultra wideband, but LTE was fast enough. I'm curious if that would have been enough to keep up.
Yeah, so I did have T-Mobile's international data plan. Not enough gigs, but it was good enough when I was out and about and I could have a strong signal, but I don't know what it is about these Italian buildings that block out any
they're made
signal.
I was going to say they're thousands of years old. I think that's the problem, right? Like it's kind of like New York runs into that a little bit too because some of the buildings are so old, and so you have some of the connectivity problems. Seattle does not have that problem because we don't have culture, but yeah. So
what do you mean you don't have culture?
I mean, we don't, but newer cities don't have some of the same problems that way. But yeah, I imagine it's probably the age of some of the buildings. But I was just curious because that is going to have to be a thing eventually if these things take off. Because I could see that if they want them to take off, right? Like in some of these areas, because I could see if these things get adopted more, the museum community and whatnot really wanting to embrace them and maybe even make their own apps or other things for this.
Or just like opera houses, you could have translations for foreign
You could have
operas.
the super titles on the glasses instead of on the screen.
So it was like, it was a situation where I was like, oh, you know what? These glasses are actually great in situations where I can put them on for a specific purpose and then take them off, because then I don't have any of the weird cultural qualms or... Because in my daily life, when I wear them, I feel like a little gross, like a little super spy, having capabilities that people don't know that I have. And a thing that came up a couple of times was when I would be looking at the screens, people would be like, what are you looking at right now? Because they can't see the screen, but they can really see that I'm not engaged in a certain way. I have like a very dead eye stare. And when I would demo the tech for my coworkers or some friends and I would see them do it, I was like, oh, this is horrible. So if you can just imagine, like right now, you try to have a family dinner or you're on a date and everyone's on their phones. And, usually there's that one friend that's just like, okay, everybody, can we get off our phones? Can we be like present in the moment? And if you can just imagine the dystopia of you're on a first date and are you swiping on Tinder right now? What's going on?
Or worse, are you looking me up, right? Like, are you like, because that would be my concern. I'd be like, okay, because you've probably already done some retcon, but now you're there in person. You're like, okay, am I taking photos? Am I like doing other stuff? Am I scrolling through your social media? Like, what's going on?
That makes sense though. That's one of the big advantages of it.
Yes, but it's also weird.
Right. I was going to say it's both, right?
Or what?
I was going to say, because on one hand, it sounds kind of great. On the other hand, you're like, no, this is stuff I think to your point, Victoria, like that other people don't know you have these capabilities, right? Yeah. I think
soon we all will. With AI, AI is going to be embedded everywhere. We're going to all know everything about everybody we meet. It's going to be creepy.
I mean, it's already creepy.
It feels weird because, sometimes you're on. So a really good example is in my review on The Verge. If you scroll all the way down where I talk to the cultural and privacy implications, I have a video that I uploaded. And what was happening is I was in a florist coffee shop, one of those hybrid things. And I was trying to zoom out and taking a video because I was like, oh, this will be great footage, blah, 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 blah. And what I don't notice is that the cashier is trying to talk to me. And she can't tell. She's just like, hi, can I help you? And I'm just not listening. I'm just going like, ooh. And then the second time, she's just like, hey, can I help you? And I was like, oh, God.
Oh, sorry.
Hi. Yeah, no, I'm just looking. And like frantically, you can't see this part, but like on the side, I'm just trying to close the camera out because I don't want her to be like on camera because she doesn't know. There's a recording indicator light, but in my experience, a lot of people just don't see it. They're not really aware of it because it's not red, it's white. So on the one hand, that's makes you, the person using it, more likely to use it. You feel a little self-conscious. But then on the other hand, a lot of people don't know that it's white, and they don't, because the cultural, I think, language for us in recording lights is red. So it's sort of like one of those things where I find that most people in public don't know what I'm doing at that point in time. So I personally feel quite ethically
See,
dubious.
You're unusual, though, because I think a lot of people, and the ones that you really don't want to be doing this, are the ones who are going to have no ethical qualms whatsoever.
I was going to ask, Victoria, do you think the decision to go white, which obviously, a lot of, they're not the first ones to do it. I mean, the original Snapchat spectacles were white too. I think that the Google Glass, I'm pretty sure, was red, but everything else has been white. Do you think that has been an intentional choice, like talking to these companies, so that basically, so people don't know, like as much as they try to claim, oh no, we want everyone to be aware, they really don't?
I think what they'll tell you is that they put a lot of thought and like research into what color they're choosing. And I think they very intentionally choose white so that it's less glaring. So,
less obvious is another way to put it. Yeah.
Less obvious, but still, if someone's in the know, they can clue in. So it's sort of like a halfway thing, because I get it. When you have something that just has a red light on you, people are on guard. And maybe you're just wearing this as a normal pair of glasses and headphones that you sometimes, maybe not even often, take the video or the camera with. In which case, if you're that person, well, do you want it to have a red light? Maybe not. But at the same time, if you're part of the greater public, I want to know when I'm being recorded. I feel like that's a common courtesy to know. So it's one of those things where consistently in my reviews, I list it as a con, because the white light, if you're in bright sunny daylight, you're just not going to see it. You just absolutely are not going to see it if you're outdoors. So that's definitely a problem.
And
but again,
people may be using it as you were in the museum to say, what is this? But no one can tell whether you're doing that or recording them.
Yeah.
It's not clear. I think that's going to be, it was a big cultural problem with Google Glass, and I don't think we've solved that issue. There are a lot of people who say,
and
I'm not going to, you don't wear those when you're sitting down with me, buddy boy.
Right. I mean, and I think that's the thing that is, at least right now, like you can tell, like with the display, they are big enough. I think they're obvious in some ways. If you look closely, you know what's going on. That is where I think just like the regular Meta glasses are a little bit more insidious, and frankly, kind of why I like them, right? Because they are like unobstructive, and I'm not trying to spy on people. I'm not trying to record things. The capabilities aren't there to do all these other advanced things. It's like, yeah, I can take a photo or a video, but really my primary thing is I have like a way to like listen to music and take a quick, like photo or scroll or whatever, but I'm not, like, it's not like I can do a whole lot more with it. And I don't have to feel weird about, wearing something that just looks like normal glasses. But yeah, I do think that is the thing that will become interesting, is when these things do become less obvious, and how do we culturally deal with that? Because, it's going to happen. It's
like AirTags for me, because 99% of people who use AirTags are using it for a completely benign reason. They're using it for the way that it's intended. And then there's the 1% of jerks who are using it in pretty harmful ways.
Yes.
And you're seeing that with the regular Meta Ray-Bans too, because there was a guy on a Bay Area university who was using it to kind of harass women and make social media content out of it. That's pretty crappy. So you have instances out here now of people being glass holes, but because they're so discreet, it's not quite as easy for people to clock. Like Google Glass, you look like you're a sci-fi character.
You did. And frankly, I think a lot of the early adopters of Google Glass, because I followed that stuff very closely when it was happening, leaned in, frankly, to it, which made it worse, which made the whole
Scoble
thing worse.
Took it in the shower.
right. And then that became indicative of the whole thing. And I'm not going to blame him for that, but I would say,
in fact, it's good he did, because it highlighted the issue.
Well, it did.
To this day, Yeah, I remember when Meta came out with the originals. They said, "We hope Scoble doesn't get a hold of these."
Right. But there were people who were like actively going into restaurants and almost picking fights and almost asking people to get kicked out and capturing things
in bars. Yeah,
restaurants and bars. And you know, I talked to some of those people, and I can say this with like more than 10 years in happenstance. They were actively in some of those cases being the antagonists.
They were provocateurs. Yes,
and they wanted a confrontation, and then wanted to turn it into a story about look at how oppressed I am, and look at how terribly I'm being treated for this. And all it wound up doing was turning everybody off of the category until we could finally get to a place where it is now. But the unfortunate thing is that, to your point, Victoria, because it is much less obvious, it can be more insidious. It can be used in these ways that we wouldn't want. Although, to be fair, you know, you could use any number of cameras for those sorts of purposes. Like if there's a, you know, with every good, people are always going to be able to abuse things. I think we just have to be cognizant of what those things are. And
I would like to see Meta just lead the conversation more, because anytime I have readers who are like bringing up these very valid concerns, the only thing I can point to is kind of an etiquette guide that Meta has, like a very small one. And it's basically like, don't be a jerk. And I was like, that can't be your policy. Like, there has to be some conversation you're having in terms of the design, in terms of setting the cultural tone with these, if you truly want to lead the space, because it's a problem that's going to pop up again. I went to a dinner with a friend that I hadn't seen in years, and we were yapping for like 2 hours. And then at one point, just the light changed, and I went, oh my God, are you wearing Ray-Ban Meta glasses? And he's like, oh yeah, I love them. I use them as like audio things, and sometimes I take photos, but whatever. The wearable lady who tests this stuff, very familiar with what these glasses look like, I didn't clock it for 2 hours. So that was kind of a wake-up call for me too, as to how discreet these really can be. And, you know, when you introduce a neural band, when you can put your hand under the table and start recording, and there's no like cue like this, or there's no cue with the voice, you can just silently start recording someone. That's freaky deaky. That's super spy stuff. That is James Bond level things that you're putting into the average person's hand. It's not like a phone. Like, there's no hiding a phone where you're like, I'm recording you, that sort of situation. So that freaked me out a little bit while I was testing these devices, because it's a mind fuck, really.
Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet from a much longer show we call This Week in Tech. If you want to see the whole thing, there's a link down below. You know what the best thing to do would be? Like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.